Welcome, everyone. This is Diana Needham, and I am so excited that you're here for our next Marketing Simplicity webinar. Tonight, we have the lovely Christine Clifton sharing with us from New Jersey. New Jersey. So I'm really excited to have her here. And all of you know that the purpose of this webinar series is to help us all simplify all of the marketing that we need to do to grow our businesses. And what I've discovered is that most of us make things really, really complicated. So this whole webinar series is called Marketing Simplicity, and I bring to you colleagues and people that I highly respect to come share their brilliance and help us all grow our businesses. So let me tell you a little bit about Christine. She is the founder of a company called Client Centric Growth, and she's the creator of programs such as Wealth Harvest, The Fortune is in the Follow-Up, and You Don't Have to Shout to Stand Out. I just love that, Christine.
Thank you.
Christine helps mindful service business owners, and I know there's a lot of you here tonight. You're a mindful service business owner, and independent professionals feel confident and comfortable promoting their business. She draws forth our natural strengths so we speak from a place of conviction and connect with the people we really want to help. In this process, we grow our client base, earn what we're worth, and make a bigger difference in our communities. So without further ado, I am going to hand it over to Christine. I know you have a lot of content to share with us tonight, and we're just so excited that you're here.
Well, thank you. I'm excited as well. I love that there's all these Southerners on the line because while I'm in Jersey, I actually am from South Carolina. So
really?
I just might let my twang fly a little bit because people will be able to understand me.
Oh my gosh, where in South Carolina?
I was raised in Columbia, South Carolina.
Oh my gosh, I know where that is. I've been there.
Yes. So
boy.
yeah, it's like old home week I hear tonight.
Okay, well, South Carolina, North Carolina, it's all Carolinas.
That's right. It's all the Carolinas. So welcome everybody, and thank you, Diana. I'm sincerely grateful for the opportunity to share what I know with your community, and there's some of my community on the webinar as well, which is awesome. And it's an action-packed evening. I am historic for a ton of content, and I try to do so in a kind of dribble-y fashion, but sometimes I get a little excited and carried away with myself. So while I'm chatting here, I'm just going to encourage those of you who are listening and want to participate actively. Some of you might be driving, of course, just listen. But those of you who are on the webinar and who have the opportunity to do some activities that I'm going to invite you to do, go ahead and gather some paper, pencils. I love sticky notes. I should have bought stock in the company eons ago. Sticky notes or pens, whatever your learning style is. Some of you are audible learners and you're going to want to listen. Some of you are kinesthetic, which is why doing the activities can help you as well. And some of you are visual learners, and that's also why doing the activities can help because you'll see it in front of you. So go ahead and gather those, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about who I am since some of you don't know me. Now, my own coach dubbed me the Business Development Whisperer. This was not a self-ordained title. And it took me aback a little bit, but it came out of a coaching session when we were really refining down the work I really wanted to be focusing on. And I'm also what I call a social introvert. Yes, I am an introvert, and yes, I am a presenter and a speaker. It's a misnomer that introverts don't like to speak when we're really prepared and we're ready to go. We have no problem speaking in front of groups. So I do call myself a social introvert. I also look at business development as a blend of sales and marketing, and the word even feels a little bit softer than the word sales, I believe. And because I focus on service business owners, I also like the term business development because it implies that this is an ongoing process. some people look at sales as the end. That's what we're striving for. It's actually the beginning. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as we go tonight. So a little bit more about me. I've already just said I'm a Southern woman in a Northern land. And I also consider myself a practical spiritualist. You might hear me use the term universe or something like that, but I really ground that work into reality and practical how-tos. So I kind of say I'm a blend between woo-woo and how-to.
Christine, you're breaking up a little bit.
Okay. I am on my headset, so let me know if that continues. It might just be my motion.
Okay, that's better.
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know. Great. And I also call myself a recovering serial entrepreneur. So what does that mean? Well, I spent more than 20 years in corporate America, and I had that pinnacle six-figure salary. I had an MBA. I had a certification in human resources as well. I went to Coach U, so I had a lot of letters behind my name. And I actually ended my career as a sales coach for a commercial division of a chemicals company. But it wasn't fulfilling me like it had in the past, and I knew there was something more for me out there. So I blindly stumbled into entrepreneurship thinking, well, I can earn enough, to replace my salary in corporate. And I bumbled through my first life coaching business, circling in the holistic world. My next business was a wellness center where I could bring lots of holistic things together. And client-centric growth, when I started it, was actually a marketing services company in which I conducted marketing communication campaigns for small service business owners, so they didn't have to do it themselves. My current iteration of client-centric growth is quite different, and you'll hear a little bit about that tonight, but it really is more about supporting the service business owner behind the business to develop their soft skills to make what they're doing already work better than it has in the past. So I'm a little bit of a teacher, I'm a little bit of a mentor, and I'm a little bit of a coach, all blended together depending on what the service business owner needs in their business. So hence the business development whisperer. And as an introvert, I love the word whisper. So if I can do that, make this transition, you can do that. You can make the transition as well. And quite honestly, all those letters behind my name didn't prepare me for entrepreneurship. I learned a lot on the street, walking the street with my business and knocking on doors and trying to drive traffic into my businesses. And I learned what worked, I learned what didn't, and you're going to get all the jewels of my learning tonight. So if you're feeling a little frustrated that your networking isn't bringing in more new business, or you might even find yourself still tongue-tied when trying to tell people what it is that you do, you might also just want to make a difference, but you're kind of a reluctant salesperson. You're in the right place tonight. This might be how you're stepping into your marketing or sales right now. You've got, see the little look of angst on these folks' faces, like, oh my goodness, what am I doing here? And what we're going to do is transform that perspective, perhaps, and see if your networking efforts can't regularly bring you in new business with what you're going to learn tonight. And what if you felt really confident about talking with others about what you do? You could also help more clients and still not feel salesy. Some of the questions we got in with your registrations are all about that. I don't want to feel pushy or salesy. Now, what if you could more than double your client base growth just by improving what you're already doing? Now, I think all of you can probably attest you're networking, you're one-on-oneing, you're masterminding, you're trying out some social media or online marketing, and you're doing a lot of stuff. And chances are you're doing a lot of the right stuff, but how well are you doing it? And that's what we're going to touch on with tonight's webinar. So I'm going to talk about return on time investment ROTI, that's what that means. You've heard of ROI, return on investment. As service business owners, our time is money. And all of these marketing efforts that we're already participating in need to turn results for us. And so we want to make those things we're doing work even better for us. So I'm going to give you some math. Now, I lovingly say that I don't do math in public, and I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't already on my slides. But follow along with me. Let's say that you're out networking and you in the past have been successful in inviting 4 people to talk to you about the work that you do. So this is just an example. So 4 people have said, yes, I'd like to talk to you more about what you do. And let's say that in the past you've been successful converting half of those people. And that means you're going to have 2 new clients each month with that type of number. Now, let's look at improving your invitation to talk to you. Let's say that you're successful inviting 6 people instead of 4, and that you have the same conversion rate as before. And what that means is you then gained 3 new clients in that month instead of 2, which is a 50% increase. 50. Okay? So now let's say, maybe I'm not so great at that initial invitation. So let's use this example that I'm still at the 4. I'm getting better, though, at my conversion rate. So my conversion rate is 75% instead of 50 in this example. And what that means is that you then gain 3 new clients instead of 2, which is also an example that's 50% above what the norm was, above what this light blue column was. Now, let's say you get better at both. Let's say you improve your ability to invite. That means 6 people are saying yes to speaking with you. Let's say that you have a 75% conversion rate instead of a 50% conversion rate. What that means is you're gaining 4.5 clients. Now, I know we can't have half a client, but I'm just going to leave the pure math there. And your increase in client growth is 125%. That's 125% increase, which means you've doubled. You had 2 before. In this example, you could have 4.5 new clients just by improving your invitation skills and just by improving your conversion skills. How about that? Who doesn't want to double their client growth rate? Well, we're going to talk about some skills that you can use tonight to do exactly that. And once you do, look at what you could look like. You could be so much more excited than before. You're ready to ask for referrals. You know exactly what to say. And we're going to talk about all of that tonight. So here are our learning points. You're going to learn your hidden superpower that connects you to your community. You're going to learn the winning message formula that makes you more memorable. You're also going to learn the simple system that makes sales seamless. Can you tell I like alliteration to my marketing, Diana? And you'll also learn the one technique you can use right now to grow your client base. So if you're ready to get started, I hope you've gathered those supplies. We're going to dive right in. So what is your hidden superpower that connects you to your community? It is your why, your big why. And this isn't just your why in your business. This is your why in your life. Because you see, your why comes through your whole life, not just why you are doing what you're doing in your business. Now this, you may say, Christine, this sounds a little more like woo-woo than it does how-to, but it actually isn't just woo-woo. There is brain science behind this, and I want to teach you a little bit about that in a minute. So the why is the reason behind starting your business. It's your purpose in life. And what that becomes is the fuel that drives your motivation. And it's also the energy behind what you say. So when you're able to tap into your why, it gives you more motivation and more energy behind the words that you say. and it keeps you propelling forward in a very natural way, not a forced way. So let's look at that brain science and the science behind marketing to start. The science behind marketing was highlighted in a book called Start With Why by Simon Sinek. And in this book, he explains the golden circle, which I'm going to briefly explain to you today so you can see the science behind marketing. In the center of this circle is why. You see how on the outer rim, and then on the outside circle, you see what. So the what is what you do and what you sell. The how is your method to market, and the why is the reason behind what you do. And I really want you to take note of this golden circle because I'm going to mention it a little bit later. And so what Simon says in the book Start With Why is that when you are able to communicate your why, that people then will follow you because they believe what you believe. So when you state your why and people hear it, they go, ooh, is that me? And if that's me, I'm going to follow you. And if it's not, I may not. Now, that is one little glitch I find with service business owners. We want to save the world. We think everyone should be partaking in our service. But the truth of the matter is that if you really leverage your why behind your business and who you are and the work you really want to do, you're going to be narrowing down that targeted group so that you can serve in a much stronger way. So it all comes back to your why. And again, this is The Golden Circle by Simon Sinek. I love giving him credit. And if you'd like to look at his TED Talk, you can go to TED.com and search his name, and you'll see his 18-minute TED Talk, which is called How Great Leaders Inspire Everyone to Take Action. And he talks about this there as well. So now the brain science. See in the center circle that it's the limbic brain, which controls our emotion. Now, this is part of our primitive brain. So think back to the caveman days when they were facing the saber-toothed tiger. All right, so their emotion, their feeling is what motivated them to act, and perhaps in the case of the saber-toothed tiger, caused them to run from the saber-toothed tiger. And notice that our more sophisticated part of our brain, which is the language part, came later, and it's in the neocortex section of the brain. Now, you'll also notice I use the same diagram as the golden circle because really it is aligned with the brain science as well. So when you look at the limbic and limbic part of the brain, which is emotion, that is where the decision making happens. Now, some of you might say, yeah, Christine, but that's what feels icky about sales to me, is that we get all these blazing marketing messages, promising losing 10 pounds, in a week, and that doesn't feel good. Well, you get to choose how you evoke emotion with your marketing messages. You don't have to be that way with your marketing messages, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So, your why is powerful, and it's not salesy. When you articulate your why from your true self, it is a powerful draw to you. You must articulate it so people can opt in. What does that mean? It means that when they hear you and they believe what you believe, they're going to follow you, hence hire you, hence, buy what you're selling. So you must articulate it. They will opt in if they believe what you believe. And it is perfect that not everyone will. It is perfect that not everyone will opt in. So why is it perfect, Christine? Because you have special features about your why that's going to speak to a particular group of people. And it's perfect that some people don't opt in when you speak your why because you likely aren't going to be able to serve them to the degree that is going to fulfill you and also fulfill them. You really want to be surrounding yourself with those people that believe what you believe. And this way, you're not trying to convince them that they need to work with you. So it is perfect that not everyone will, and it's an acquired skill to feel comfortable and resting in that fact. So I want to tell you briefly about my client, Christy Ward. She is a photographer, and she was in one of my classes, and when she learned this about the why, she told somebody that she was prospecting that her favorite thing to do was to photograph multi-generational events. And it was brave of her. She was scared, and the guy kind of went, yeah, okay, well, I think I already have a photographer. But he got home, found out they didn't, and guess what he did? He called her back up. They were having a special golden anniversary for their parents. So he called her, initiated a call to her, and that wouldn't have happened if she hadn't articulated the fact that her favorite thing to photograph in the entire world was multi-generational events. And that's the power of your why. It's your strength of conviction that causes people to follow you. Okay, so that's your superpower that's hidden right now that I'm inviting you to draw out, and that is to articulate your why. So messaging formula, we're moving next to that. So you want to be memorable in your messaging formula. And look at this picture that we have here. This is a beautiful goldfish. Diana, what do you think the attention span is of a goldfish?
Almost nil.
It is almost nil. And it's actually been reported that it's 9 seconds. So what do you think a human's attention span is, Diana?
Probably less than 5.
Well, it's not less than 5, but you're close. It's 8 seconds. So the goldfish's attention span is 9, and our attention span these days is 8. Of course, it used to be greater, but actually our technology is a bit rewiring our brain. And so you've heard that phrase, it takes 7 seconds to make a first impression. And this is why our attention span today is shorter and shorter. And if you don't capture attention of people that you're communicating to up front, they are not going to still be with you at the end of what you're saying. And so this is what breaks my heart when I hear people talking about their message or who they are. They say their position title. They'll say, I'm a marketing consultant. Or they'll say, I'm a massage therapist, or I'm an accountant, or I'm a financial planner. And you see, what happens is that you transfer the power of the interpretation of what you do to the listener. You have abdicated your power of messaging and communication by using your position title. Now, here's something else that I see, is that business owners will ramble on and on about what they do. They are so excited, and I might even say we, because it's me sometimes too. We get so excited about what it is that we do that we ramble on and on and on, and we essentially lose the listener. And those are the two things I see happening most of all. So the solution to this is micro-messaging, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that next. There are two components to micro-messaging, and you can even search on the internet if you choose, and you'll see some keywords for micro-marketing or micro-messaging. It's a similar concept. I bring it into, however, the words that you say. So it's not only who you really want to serve, but it's also what benefit they gain from working with you. And that's the big miss by many service and other business owners. We can't clearly talk about the benefit that people gain from working with us because we're so involved in the what or the process of what we do. So the first component is the who, and we're going to talk about this just a little bit. So again, who do you really want to serve? And you must be super specific. I'm going to give you some examples in just a minute, but you must be super specific in your message about who you serve. They must self-identify with what you say. So they must see themselves in what you're saying. And saying, I help anyone who is entirely too broad. It's entirely too broad. My heart just sinks when I hear people use that in their elevator pitch. Because remember, 7 seconds to make a first impression. We've got 8-second attention span of the people listening to us. If we say, I help anyone who ... we've lost the listener immediately. Now, the benefit is the second component of your winning message formula. And before we get there, I want to offer a bonus to those of you listening to the replay and live on the webinar and on the telephone today. You must get so intimate with the who so that you can use words and languages that is their language. We must choose words that speak to them and that compel them to act. Remember, decision making is emotion, and so we must take the time to learn about them so well that we're using the language that they use or that is going to compel them to act. And so I want to offer you my psychographic questionnaire. Now, some of you may not have heard that term before. You've heard of demographics, you've heard of geographics, and these qualities that we put on the people that we want to serve. You know, I'll hear a coach say, I serve women, I coach women between the ages of 30 and 50. Well, that's entirely too broad as well. The woman who is 30 is facing something entirely different in her life than the woman who is 50. And so we must really intimately know our who so we can use the words that speak more specifically to them. So if you'd like the psychographic questionnaire from me, you can email me at my email address. Diana's going to put it in the chat box. It's Christine@clientcentricgrowth.com, and just send me a quick email, and sometime this weekend I will send you back the psychographic questionnaire, which is something you just take yourself and answer the questions, and I promise you it's going to help you get to know your who a little bit more deeply. All right, so let's talk then about the benefit. The benefit they gain from working with you. What does your who want? Remember my example of the woman who's 30 and the woman who's 50. The woman who's 30 may not even be having children yet. The woman who's 50 is probably seeing her kids off to college very soon. So you must really know what your who wants. Then you must state the benefit that they want in a practical and an emotional way. Now, while the decision-making comes from the emotional part of the brain, practical words and emotional words can prompt emotion in the brain. So you want to target both a practical result as well as an emotional result in your messaging, so that depending on who you're talking to, one of those two is going to land. Those are the two primary decision-making motivators that prompt emotion in the brain, practical and emotional. And as I mentioned before, talking about your what does not cause them to act. So let's look at these together, the who and the benefit. Who, as examples, divorcing women or women business owners. These are two examples. Now, several of my clients are financial planners and service business owners as well. And so my financial planners target different groups of people as well. So these are two examples from one of my financial planner clients. Benefits include feeling confident. See the emotion? That's an emotional benefit. Feeling confident. It's not practical or tangible. It's an emotion. I'm feeling confident. Financial freedom is the practical benefit. Okay, do you see the difference? So how do we bring these together into a micro message? I help divorcing women who want to feel confident about their money choices. Now notice, nowhere in that sentence does it say what does that. What brings the benefit? It's only the who and the benefit in this sentence. The what comes later. This is actually the first tier of a 3-tier message that I help my clients develop in their business. And it's not an elevator pitch that I help them with. It's a tool belt of words and phrases that they can draw out depending on who they're talking to, so that they can be very purposeful and poignant in what they're saying. So this is only the first tier. Remember, we have 7 seconds This is the 7-second part of that 3-tier message. Now here's another one. I help women business owners gain financial freedom. So I've paired here women business owners with gain financial freedom. Now let's take another look at that first one, divorcing women. Think about the condition that divorcing women are in. It's a scary time. I've been there. Scary, confusing. It could be that their husband managed their finances. So for them to want to feel confident, that makes sense to match that benefit with that who. Now let's look at women business owners. If you're a woman business owner, you're probably pretty independent and pretty confident already. It's not always the case, but often you're owning your own business. And so women business owners are more likely to want the financial freedom. So this is what's behind the pairing of this message. We were very purposeful about the benefits. Could we switch them? Of course. We could say, I help divorcing women gain financial freedom. Do you think they want financial freedom? Yeah, they probably do. But in the condition of divorce, they are probably wanting to feel more confident about what's going on so that they can make good decisions for their families. And yes, we could say women business owners, I help with women business owners feel confident about their money choices. That's also a valid pairing. But don't you see how it's a little bit more powerful when we've done it this other way? Okay, so this is a little exercise that you can do. You're going to brainstorm your who's, you're going to brainstorm your benefits, and then you're going to match them up to see which ones your who wants. Remember, we need to do it from their perspective because they're people. You know, when I hear people talk about their target market and their ideal client profile, what's behind that are warm-blooded human beings who have wants, needs, and desires. And that's what you need to tap into with your messaging. And so I want you to take your power back. I want you to shorten up your message. I want you to make it simple like this. And I want you to recognize, looking at these examples, how memorable these could be, which also make them repeatable. Last month, I had someone call me up and said, hey, Christine, I talked to Junie, and Junie said that you help service business owners create powerful messaging so they can get more clients. I mean, I'm not lying about that. And that is my message. So if you want it repeatable so that people start talking about you very easily to other people, and that's how people land on your phone, on your message, in your email, wanting to work with you. Now, we just had Jell-O bounce on the screen. I want to talk briefly about Jell-O as another example. Why Jell-O? Well, I don't know. It's fun and it's simple. It's a colorful, jiggly treat, right? So think what Jell-O is to kids. Jell-O is just that to kids. It's a colorful, jiggly, fun dessert, right? Now, let's attach moms to Jell-O. Moms say, oh my gosh, it's simple and easy. It's a simple and easy dessert, right? And let's attach, we might say college kids, but let me qualify college kids above the age of 21 because that's drinking age. But what is Jell-O to college kids? Well, for those of you who don't know, yes, there are Jell-O shots that they can get when they go out drinking. So see how Jell-O as a what can have different benefits and different appeals depending on the who that you pair with it. And that's your opportunity, is to be that specific with your messaging so that when people hear it, they are self-identifying and they are opting in to working with you based on what they've heard. Now let me show you again that golden circle. Remember that what causes people to decide to work with you is based on emotion. And the same brain science is why it's hard for you to say your message. It's because you're emotionally connected to your service business or to your business, and you don't have the language for it. And language comes from a different part of the brain. So I don't know if it helps us at all, Diana, but, to feel like we're not alone, and that because we're so emotional about the work that we do, that's what's causing me to feel a bit tongue-tied. And so how do we overcome that? Well, practice. and you want to get a little help to pair some really powerful messaging together for you so that it's really effective in your business. How is that brain science striking you, Diana? Is any new ahas for you?
Yeah, actually, very much so. I think that what you just said about we're so close to our business that it makes it difficult for us to translate that into the language part, the way that it lands and really thinking about it. I think a lot of times we say with automatic what we say.
Yes.
And we haven't really thought about deconstructing that in the way that you're teaching us here tonight. And then we wonder
Great.
why
I'm
people,
glad you know that.
Yeah, so this is really helpful. It's really helpful for me. And folks here on the webinar, if you have questions or comments, please put them in the chat box.
Yes, we welcome those. So let me quickly recap. We talked about your superpower, which is your why, and the fact that you must articulate it so people can decide themselves. Wouldn't that be great? People deciding they want to work with us instead of us chasing people down. And then your winning message formula, which is the micro messaging that I've just mentioned to you. And so we're moving on to the simple system that makes sales seamless. So here's what I know about business owners. We tend to be creative thinkers. I call us spiral thinkers. And we have lots of ideas, and we really see the tip of the iceberg. We see what finished looks like. What we don't always see is the depth and breadth of the time and attention and sometimes effort and money that we need to make that thing actually happen. And so we creative thinkers need architecture to step into so that we can kind of harness our creativity and focus it in a particular way. And that's what systems do for us. And I'm not saying computer system here. System in this context means a process. Now, think of dancers, artists, and musicians. So dancers didn't automatically, when they were 8 years old, get on the stage and do, multiple pirouettes. They had to learn the structure, the architecture of dance before they're able to do that type of thing. Artists, they didn't just start painting, abstract paintings. They went to school for many years to learn the architecture of that. And the same is true for musicians. They had to learn the scales before they're able to play a song or even write their own song. And so as creatives ourselves, we need that kind of basic architecture to help us in our businesses as well, which are these systems that I'm talking about. Now, what I didn't say when I introduced myself is that I'm actually a swing dance teacher. I haven't taught for a while, but when I was first learning to dance, I was terrified of spinning. Spins and turns terrified the heck out of me. And it wasn't until I worked with a particular coach who helped me see that it was the step before the turn that was my problem, not the turn itself. If I was off balance on the step before I turned, I would be off balance throughout the turn. And it's no different than sales. It's the step before the sale, and I'm using air quotes here. It's the step before the sale that's the most important and the one we want to be most balanced and comfortable in for the resulting sale to be successful. So let's take a look at the 3P system. The first part of this system is pool your peeps. Now, I use the word peeps. You might say prospects. You might say community. And check in with that language. You really want to use the language that are your people that you want to serve. You want to price your programs, and you want to place yourself. And I'm going to flesh these three out a little bit more. Now, those of you who've taken a marketing class or understand marketing, you may have heard about the 4 P's of marketing, which is price, promotion, product, and placement. And so it's a little bit like that. I have a saying that if you market so well, you don't have to sell. If you market so well, you don't have to sell. And that's what this 3P system really is. It's pooling your peeps, pricing your programs, and placing yourself. And let's take a look at pooling your peeps. What does this mean? Well, here are a couple examples. Online and offline are some examples I had here. Now, this list could be pages long, but these are just a few examples. Teleclasses, social media, newsletter, or blogs. You want to pool your peeps into these places. So social media, it's Twitter. It could be your Twitter followers. It might be your Facebook fan page. It might be your LinkedIn. It could be your Google Plus account. So these are all places that you want to drive people to and pool them there. Even for Diana's event here is a great example. While she has a separate registration page, she still created a Facebook event in order to pool the people in Facebook into this event. That's an example. Offline examples include networking or classes, even events that you might host, and meetup groups are also a great offline example. Now, you want to look at what makes sense for your business, number one. You also want to look at where your comfort level is, and you want to marry it with what your people want. So you want to marry your strengths and your desires with that of the people that you want to serve, and then make the appropriate choices. I am not telling you to do all of these things. I don't want you leaving this webinar going, Christine said I had to do all of this stuff. No, that's not what I'm saying. You want to be very purposeful to first take your strengths, match it with your peeps' desires, and then choose the places to pool them that match. And the pool provides them to get the opportunity to know and like you. To know and like you. So just think of the pool as like the hot tub. You're hanging out with people and you get to know each other. And it's a step in between meeting them and, again, air quotes, selling them. It's a step in between meeting them and selling them. So let's then talk about pricing your programs. Now, again, I could talk all day about pricing, but I'm going to brush the surface today to give you the high points of what I think is really important. And you'll see why this is coming into sales, the sales process, here in a minute. I believe that everybody who's in coaching, consulting, service businesses should have different types of programs/pricing that you have on your menu. You should have a session rate. Notice I did not say hourly rate. I said session rate. You should have a package rate, which could be multiple sessions as an example. You might have a program and you might also have a product. Now, again, I'm not telling you to run out and create products if you don't have them. These are just examples of the types of ways you would want to create your service offerings. And then you're going to base your pricing on the benefit that they receive. Now, a lot of the questions, Diana, that came in were about people who weren't willing to pay the price that people were placing on their services, and that they would love to get their prices up, but they don't think they would be able to. Well, if you've already gone through the process of intimately getting to know your peeps, and you are in front of the right people, then you get to articulate to them the benefit that they're going to receive. And so when people say, oh, Christine, that's really expensive, I kind of say, well, compared to what? Like, what are they basing it on, compared to a Rolls Royce or compared to, a $97 program that they have to self-study their way through? It's up to me to articulate the benefit that they're going to receive. And remember, we've covered this ground already in your messaging. So you must be able to base pricing on the benefit they're going to gain overall. Your price should also be on its place in your sales funnel. So here's an example. Suzanne Evans does free 3-day live stream events. Well, you know what? In my sales funnel, my free event is my local networking event that I host. It's not a 3-day live stream, okay? She's a Fortune 500 company. She can do that. So you want to price based on its place also in your sales funnel, in addition to the benefit that they're going to receive. You must look at both of those components. And then all of this makes you better able to customize. And why is that important? Because when you're talking to someone about what you offer, you're going to be talking to them about the benefit they receive. So they understand the value, not the price. per se. They're going to understand the price by understanding the value. And then when they've decided that they want what you have, but what you're giving them doesn't exactly fit, then you want to be prepared to customize it. Because if you're getting those peeps who are really your sweet spot and you've got them in front of you, you really want to have a way to capture them into your business somehow. You've gone through your why, you've gone through your messaging, and now that you know you're drawing just those people that you really want to work with in your business, you want to capture them somehow. So you also want to be very agile and be prepared to customize. And then the other thing that breaks my heart is service business owners just discounting left and right. And I really, it just flips my stomach to see all those discounts happening. Because when you discount often and regular, people begin to expect it and they begin to devalue what it is that you offer. And as service business owners, don't we like to give anyway? So let's give bonuses and not discounts, and find ways that you can give extras to people that will enhance what it is that they're investing in with you. So that's price your programs. Now we're going to talk about placing yourself. So you want to place yourself in that pool with your peeps. So you're swimming around with them, you're getting to know them, and you need to stay in touch with them. So the worst thing you could do is start a blog and then, someone visits your website and your last blog was published 2 years ago, right? You want to stay in touch. You do a newsletter regularly, you have a networking event regularly, you have to stay in touch with them. You also want to place yourself in groups of your peeps. Now, you might be going to a bazillion networking functions, but I can guarantee you if you and I sat down together to talk about those groups, I could eliminate half of them from your activity list because they aren't the right place for you to be because your peeps aren't there. Same thing with speaking. You're going to benefit more greatly when you place yourself in a speaking environment with a pure group of peeps in front of you, not a mixed group of peeps. So here's an example. A pure group of peeps for me is women business owners. So talking at a chamber or speaking at my BNI group or whatever isn't the best place for me. I want to place myself in pure peep places. So I speak at financial planner events. I speak at insurance professionals events. I speak at creative group events, people who are photographers and videographers and that type of thing. So I'm really specific, and you should be too. And the other place you place yourself is across from your peeps on one-on-ones. Now, this might be virtually over the phone. It might be Skype or it might be in person, but you want to put yourself across from them. And then you are the bridge into you are their bridge into your business. So if you don't place yourself in all of those pools and groups that you've collected, you're not going to bridge them into your business. You are the solution. So you are the bridge into your business. And so placing yourself purposefully is really critical. And here's why. It makes follow-up easier. Some of the questions, Diana, people were saying, well, what if I'm calling people and they're not, returning my calls? Or what do I say when I reach out to people? Well, if you are really reaching out to pure peeps and you've got your message down and you're speaking your why, they get to opt in. Remember? They get to choose to be in your business. And so your follow-up becomes easier because the amount of follow-up is going to be less. And it's going to be authentically aligned with who you really want to help and the message that you're really delivering. When I first started Client-Centric Growth, I was networking like crazy. And I would come home and have a stack of 20 business cards on the side of the desk. Diana, you know what that's like, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And now I can look back and say, in reality, I should have come home and thrown away 3/4 of those business cards.
Yep.
Because when you know your peeps so well, you're able to sift through all of that, and you're not burdened with guilt because the dust that collects on that stack, and you're able to more authentically have conversations when you're talking to your pure peeps.
Christine, can we stay on that slide for just a minute?
Absolutely.
this is so important. I wanted to give a challenge to the folks that are here on the webinar tonight and listening to the replay. Think about the networking groups that you go to, the meetings that you go to. Some of them you go every week. Some of them you may go to every month. Really take a hard look at those groups and be honest with yourself about what are those groups. Are they the right groups for you to be in? Are your ideal clients? Are the people there that you're called to serve? And if they're not, move on. Now, I will tell you from personal experience, I spent the first year when I moved here in the wrong networking groups.
Yep.
And I am guessing there are people listening to this right now that you are in the wrong networking groups. You will find yourself discouraged, disillusioned, frustrated, and stressed if you're investing a lot of time in groups where your ideal clients are not there. And the other thing I wanted to comment on, Christine, is the follow-up. You have to have a reason to follow up.
Mhm.
So when you've met somebody at an event, maybe your intention, set an intention before you go into an event. If your intention is to meet 3 people that can help you move your business forward, whether that's a potential client or a potential referral partner, it's 3, not 13.
Yes.
Not 15. It's 3. You should be able very quickly in a room of people be able to figure out who you should be spending your time with. And those are the people you follow up with. Those are the people you have meaningful conversation with. You follow up and you call them because you have something to say. You agreed to talk to them. They agreed to talk with you. You're not just cold calling everybody that you met and the 20 business cards that you picked up. I hope that makes some sense. I'm sharing from my own experience of things that have frustrated me with being involved in the wrong networking groups, and at the end of the day, you've invested a lot of time. I'll go back, Christine, to earlier in your presentation about the investment on the time.
Yeah.
What is the return on the time that you have invested in some of these groups? And the answer, if you're honest, is probably not much more than social value.
Yes, it's very true. And I qualify that too, Diana. I love what you said. I agree 100%. And I'm all about identifying your purpose. So just like you said, set the intention before going into a meeting. What's your purpose for being with that group? Masterminds are going to give you something different than a BNI or a referrals group, which
Right.
is also going to give you something different than, a women's group or an industry group that you gain support from. And a good group isn't going to be all things to all people. And so you may want to choose a referrals group and a networking group and an industry group so that you're getting some support, but then you're also doing the marketing, that you want. So I absolutely, agree with that. Yep. And, Diana, one other thing, I think I actually even forgot to mention this, and that is one of the reasons I became I'm a recovering serial entrepreneur. But the reason I was a serial entrepreneur when I is because I didn't know who my people were. I didn't know who my people were. And I just bounced from thing to thing. Oh, well, that didn't work, so let me start another business. Oh, that didn't work, so, and I'm lucky with client-centered growth because I actually found the right peeps for me, which are primarily service business owners. But you notice I use the word mindful, and that brings a whole nother perspective to, who are mindful service business owners? So I was lucky that I had landed in the right peep category when I started this business, and I've tweaked my services along the way to focus in a different area than when I first started the business, but my peeps are the same. And I did that because I got so intimately knowledgeable about them, and I knew what they wanted. And so I've tweaked my service offerings to give them what they wanted. Here's a good book for people. Worth Every Penny is a book. I can't quite reach my my bookshelf because I'm tethered to the headset here, but look up Worth Every Penny. It's a quick read, and it's all about leveraging your worth to the right groups who are going to pay the money for that specific service that you want to offer. All right, so let's move on. So far, we've covered the superpower, which is your why, the message formula, which is micro-messaging, the simple system, which is the 3P, pool, price, and place. And next is the one technique you can use right now to grow your client base. Now, it is to invite. It's to invite. You've heard me use this word a little bit earlier on the call. And I say sales in air quotes because, you know, it's icky to say sales for most of us. So I love the idea of invitation. And this is also a reframe that I help many of my clients with, is that if you're articulating your why, and if you're standing in front of your ideal peeps and you're messaging them with language that speaks to what they want, then, and you're using your systems to pool them and price and placing yourself in the right places, then you get to invite. So you've got to put your ask out there. Some of the questions, Diana, I could tell that behind the question is the fact that these folks are probably not even asking. And here's what happens. Remember that analogy about your balance on the foot placement before the turn, and that it's about the steps before the sale that makes the difference with your process? When you have a place to go, take people, to invite them, then it doesn't feel like asking or selling. And when you do ask them or invite them in, you've got a place to take them. You know, if someone invited you to a party and you said, well, where is it and when is it? And they said, well, I really don't know. You kind of go, well, that's weird. You know, why are they talking about their business, but they don't have anywhere for me to go, right? That wouldn't happen. So you want to have those opportunities to experience you already set up in your business. And then your ask is actually an invitation. So again, now that you can say your why and your message, now that you know who you can best help, now that you have a system to bring them in, you're going to invite them to, again, to an event. Maybe it's to join your newsletter. I do that a lot networking. If I think they're close to my target group, but I want to move on to the next, person in the network, I'll say, hey, I have a free e-workbook, and it puts you on my newsletter. Would you like to be a part of that? So I can, who doesn't want a free, e-workbook? You can invite them to coffee or networking, or you can even invite them to help you with an introduction. So, I want to be introduced to X, Y, or Z. Can you help me with that? People love to help each other, so you can actually even invite them to help you. And also the invitation is to help them with your services. You see how I phrased that? I didn't say sell your stuff to them. Invite to help them with your services. So that's invitation. And here's something to consider. If you're finding yourself convincing people to talk or to meet with you, then here's what's at play. Either your message isn't yet compelling enough, or you're not using their language, or you're talking to the wrong peeps, or they don't yet have a need. And it's funny, we service business owners operate in this kind of little Pollyanna world sometimes, like everybody needs what I have to offer. But you know what? Sometimes they don't yet have a need. So you might be in front of all those right people and they don't yet have a need, but guess what? If you have pooled them into your systems, then you're going to provide an opportunity for them to opt in at some point down the road. I had a client last year join me in my business after 2 years on my newsletter list. She didn't have a need at front, but something along the way caused her to opt in, and she emailed me wanting to work with me, and we worked together for about 18 months. Pretty incredible, right?
Yeah. Cool.
All right. Yeah, we love that.
Yeah.
So I invite you to think about sales as an invitation resulting in a conversation. And the conversation is a system in and of itself. It has a beginning, middle, and an end. And you get to lead that conversation. And the end is the bridge. So think about sales not so much as a funnel and more that you're on a piece of property and you've built bridges in lots of different places into your piece of property, and people get to come across the bridge by choice. The end is the bridge. So the end of the conversation is where you bridge them in to those different places. If you do that, just like Diana said, your ROTI will grow. And here's this example. If you can improve both the invitation to talk with you as well as your conversion rate, you can really amp up your client growth. Almost, well, in this example, more than 2 times. And so if you do, here's that picture again. You're ready to ask, you're going to rock the crowd, and you know just what to say. All right, so I see that we're ending with our time. So here is your action plan. You're going to define and articulate your why. Go check out Simon Sinek. He also has a self-study tool on his website to help you discover your why. You're going to create and use micro messages. You're going to build and play in your 3P system, and you're going to invite your people in. That's your action plan for today. So I want to give you free stuff. I mentioned earlier on the webinar that if you email me, I will send you my psychographic questionnaire. This will help you better define your who and get you to that intimate knowledge point of the people that you serve. And you can also grab my free e-workbook. I alluded to it earlier. It's called 7 Super Simple Business Secrets to Earn More, Do Less, and Make a Bigger Difference. And a big thank you to the Miss Diana Needham. Diana, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's been our privilege to have you here. So I know we're a few minutes over, but folks that are here on the webinar, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box while Christine is still here.
Yes, I'd love to answer things.
This has been very enlightening and very, very helpful for me, Christine. I so appreciate your spending an hour with us tonight.
You're welcome.
I'm checking the chat box, and I'm not seeing any questions come in. Some folks are hopping off because it is a little after 8.
It is a little after 8.
Okay, we do have a question, Christine.
Okay.
The question is, I have product. So does the process that you shared with us tonight work for someone who has a tangible product?
That's a great question, and I do get that a lot. It does. The short answer is yes, it does. Now, if you're in a multi-level marketing or direct sales company and you've got a catalog of hundreds of products, my recommendation for you is to look at the products that really light you up. What do you find yourself so excited about in terms of your product offering? And so in the point of the presentation where we talk about pricing, obviously you don't have control over pricing per se, but you do have control over what I would say bundling of your products. Now, I have part of my serial entrepreneurship. I've been a part of 3 MLM and direct sales companies. I think maybe even 4. So I know what I'm talking about here. So you want to look at the grouping of products that really light you up. So I had one of my clients was from Nu Skin. Now, notice I said she's one of my clients and she's a product person. So even though I say service businesses, you see that she opted in to work with me because she heard what I said and she wanted to work with me. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll work with product businesses. And so she had moved through menopause naturally, and she wanted to promote the nutritional products in Nu Skin that would help women who were transitioning into menopause. And which is, how beautiful is that? So out of the hundreds of products that she could have chosen from Nu Skin to represent, she chose the smaller bundle that were specifically going to help those women in menopause. And so that's what I would encourage you to do with products as well, is to find bundles, sub-bundles of products that really are jazzing you to offer, and then asking, who wants those products? And again, just like Diana and I said earlier, We are great at what we do and what we offer, but we first also have to see who wants that. Who wants that? Who wants our services? And so then we get to message to that who. So you still get to do that with your products as well. So great question. Thank you so much.
Any other questions here tonight? We are getting some thank yous here in the chat.
Wonderful. You're welcome.
All right. Well, we are running a little bit over time, so let me say that assuming that the technology works, we will have a replay. So look for that in your inbox from me, and I'll be happy to send again the link. And Christine, thank you for your generous gift and 2 gifts that you offered for us tonight.
Yes. We like free stuff, right?
Yeah,
and we're givers.
Yep, that's for sure. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming. And Christine, everybody have a great rest of your evening, and watch for the replay coming from me probably in the morning.
Good night, everybody.
All right. Bye, everyone.